Hey, good day, folks. Hope everybody's doing great today. I am going to be doing today's video using my phone, and I'm going to be doing my video out of my van because I don't know what's going on with my computer, but it's been acting funny. So I decided to cut the computer off for a while and see if it resets itself. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, it's not anything serious. But anyhow, welcome to another video. On this video, I got some more doom and gloom news and concerns to why it is that more people who are of the working class are becoming homeless. And this information that I'm getting ready to read, hopefully it encourages you, if you haven't already done so, to at least have some type of a preparation plan for if homelessness were to be knocking on your door, that you have the tools necessary to deal with it, such as your vehicle being set up for homelessness, at least temporarily. Now, before I get started here, for those of you that don't want to hear doom and gloom stuff, I got plenty of videos on this channel to where I got one video that you can watch that actually will help you prevent homelessness. I got other videos as well that you can watch that will educate you on certain mistakes to avoid making, to help avoid becoming homeless. I got, and all these videos that I'm discussing are all videos that I've made within the last month, all the way from some of the mistakes to avoid when buying a house to just how you should live your life to avoid being in a position to where your finances are low and now homelessness is knocking on your door. So, but for those of you that wanna get educated on the state of the current economy, this is the video is gonna be for you guys. And everything on this video that I'm going to be discussing from moving on forward for the rest of the video is going to be strictly data. Nothing that I'm saying, nothing that I'm going to say is going to be based on how anybody feels. It's not going to be based on how I feel. It's not going to be based on how you feel. It's going to be based on statistical data that I've researched. So with that being said, let's begin. Now, according to the United States Interagency Council of Homelessness, 40 to 60% of homeless people do work. And most of them work full-time jobs. So not every homeless person is a bum who has issues with illegal substances or have an issue with controlling their liquor. Now, according to the Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, and the information I'm getting ready to read was it was out of an article in the National Alliance to End Homelessness. So that's why I get the information I'm getting ready to read. That's where it comes from. You can look it up. You can look it up for yourself online if you desire. But it goes like this: homelessness increased 12% during 2022 and 2023. Now back during 2018 and 2019, homelessness only increased by 3%. So it's safe to say that the issue of homelessness in this country is getting worse. An average homeless person, on average, a homeless person will live 27 years shorter versus a person who is not homeless. Think about that for a minute. Obviously, if you're homeless, depending on your situation, some people that are homeless don't own a vehicle. They have nowhere to go for any type of shelter, so the only option they have is to sleep somewhere under a tree or under a bridge or behind or under a bench and hope that no one messes with them. And obviously, with that being said, people who are homeless like that have to endure the elements. And they have to keep one eye open to make sure no one runs up on them and attacks them and takes their stuff or takes them. So, in a lot of times when you're homeless, you don't really have a whole lot of room to store anything. So you can't store a bunch of food. You can't store a bunch of water. So oftentimes you're not eating right. You're not drinking enough fluids. So not only are you malnourished and dehydrated, but oftentimes you're not getting enough sleep at night because you always have to stay half awake to make sure no one's going to harm you. And plus you got to endure the elements outside. So it just makes for a rough life, and it's hard on your and it is hard on your body when you're living like that. Now one way to prevent one way to make homelessness easier is, as I've been telling you guys for the last 2 weeks on my 2 videos talking about how everybody needs to prepare for homelessness, as I've been telling you guys. Have a vehicle set up and ready to go, to where if homelessness for whatever reason knocks on your door, you have means to take care of business. Because if you're homeless and you're living out of a vehicle, not only do you have protection, you got, between the glass on the vehicle and all the metal, you got protection. You're protected from the elements. You're protected from animals. You're protected from other people. And you have some space to store some of your personal belongings, so you don't have to worry as much about somebody walking off with their crap. Let me readjust myself here. Give me a second. Give me a second, people. Okay, let's keep going. So if you're homeless and you at least have a vehicle to live out of, living out of that vehicle, and not to mention, most vehicles typically have air and heat. So you're not going to have to endure the elements as much when you're living in a vehicle as a homeless person as you would if you didn't have a vehicle and you were living out of a tent, as some of you would suggest people do if they became homeless, which I think is a dumb idea. So let's keep going. Americans making $100,000 a year or more, who are living check to check, increased from 38% to 45% from 2021 to 2022. So, other words, in 2019 and earlier, the average person, 38% of all people are earning over $100,000 a year. 38% of them were living check to check. That's almost 40%. Not too far from half of your higher wage earners living check to check. Now, in 2024, you got almost 50%. You got almost 50% of people earning over $100,000 a year living check to check. You got 45% of them living check to check, to be exact. That's close to 50%. So even people that are earning a higher level income are out here struggling. I mean, they may not be struggling as bad as someone making 30 and 40 and 50 a year, but nevertheless, they're out here struggling too. So for some of you ladies that only want to date men that earn a higher income because you think that's going to somehow protect you, I mean, it could, but in more and more cases today, that's not going to completely protect you. It's not going to completely immune you from still having to face a little bit of reality, so to speak. Now I'm going to get into a couple of the main reasons why more and more people of the working class are becoming homeless. Now, homes sold. Now, recently, homes sold for an average of 5 times the median household income. And that is according to a study that has been conducted at Harvard University. To be exact, that study came from the Harvard Joint Center of Housing Studies. That right now in this current market, houses are selling for an average of 5 times the median household income. Now, according to the Joint Center of Housing Studies of Harvard University, home prices rose 5.6% as of 2023. Now, there was a brief period of time where, yes, housing prices actually lowered, but that was very brief. Now, 6.4%. Now, the housing prices have rose 6.4% as of February of 2024, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller U.S. National Home Price Index. Now, when you look at the housing prices of what they are right now, the housing prices are up 4% higher than the June of 2022 peak, up 47% since 2020. Now, the highest increase in housing prices have taken place in the northeastern region of the United States, along with the Midwest. So, the Midwest has always been a safe haven for cheaper houses compared to many other parts of the country. And as it stands for right now, it still is. But, I know for a fact that housing prices in the Midwest have went up substantially because I used to live in Indiana, so I know. Now, for those of you that are looking into paying rent or you're already paying rent, when I'm getting ready to read, you already know. Or maybe, I don't know. But anyhow, if you're looking at paying rent, between 2019 to 2023, rent prices have rose 30.4%. Now, when it comes to rents, rent prices have rose 30.4%. However, the wages have only rose 20.2%. And that piece of information is according to Money Watch. And also a piece of information that is coming from Money Watch is from 2010 to 2022, while home prices have risen 74% during that time frame, wages, on the other hand, have only increased 54%. So think about that for a minute. Think about the stuff I just read. Just think about it for a minute. I mean, with those type of numbers, and I'm not, and right now, I'm primarily focusing on housing. We're not even talking about food and other stuff. We're not even talking about food. We're not even talking about the price of other items such as vehicles or gas for your car repairs and maintenance. We're not talking about none of that. I mean, primarily, I'm my focus is on housing because for most people, the single biggest expense is going to be housing. So that's my primary focus. So with the type of numbers that I read off just a minute ago, you basically have many American families living in a deficit. You know, and with those kind of numbers, it's no wonder why you have a increased amount of people becoming homeless, despite the fact that most people are working full-time jobs. Some people are even working two jobs. As I read off earlier, you got some people you got some people that might have homelessness knocking on their door, and they may have been working jobs earning six figures. So let's keep going. So according to the U.S. National Home Price Index, so according to the S&P CareLogic, well, no, we read that. Let's see here. Okay, now let's talk about homeowners insurance for those of you that own. Now, for starters, now bear in mind, I live here in rural Alabama. I live almost, uh, I live, I live well over an hour from the closest beach. I mean, where I live, I don't live super close to a beach or an ocean or any of that kind of stuff. But I've owned my current house here for 2 years. Now, my homeowner's insurance back in 2022 used to be about $2,000 a year. This year in 2024, I just got a letter from my renewal, and my insurance is now about $3,000 for the year. See, my insurance jumped, I want to say, my insurance jumped about $300 last year. And then this year, from 2023 to 2024, my insurance jumped an additional $700. Now, bear in mind, for those of you that don't see the doom and gloom in this current economy and you want to keep your head in the sand, okay, whatever. But this bear one I'm getting ready to tell you in mind, however. Now, bear in mind, one, my house is paid off. Two, I have not taken out not a single claim during the entire time that I've had this policy. Now, with that being said, my policy increased within a matter of only 2 years. My policy has increased a third. Think about that for a minute. My policy increased a third. from $2,000 to $3,000 in only 2 years worth of time. I have taken out no claims, and the house paid off. And the house is in fairly good condition too. And I'm not living super close to any major body of water. Now when it comes to my property taxes out here, thank God property taxes out here are low. But even with that being said, my property taxes have increased. Now, from 2022 to 2023, my property taxes increased. And from 2023 to this year, my property taxes are going to increase. Now, my property taxes have increased within the last 2 years. My property taxes have increased by, I want to say they've increased about $100, which is small change. It's no big deal. But I bring this up just to let you guys know that even here in rural Alabama, where typically cost of living is lower than it is in many other parts of the United States, down here, many of us are even feeling the wrath of inflation. So when you take the increase in my homeowner's insurance plus the $100 increase in my property taxes, that's a total of $1,100 worth of money that I have to pay out in housing expenses throughout the year for 2024. So just so I can do some quick, easy, simple, elementary level math here, we're going to take $1,100 and we're going to round it up to $1,200. So basically for 2024, I'm having to pay an additional $1,200 a year for housing expenses compared to what I had to pay 2 years ago in 2022. So you take $1,200, divide it up by 12, that's $100 every month. So let's say I had a mortgage out on this house, which fortunately I don't, but let's say I did. If I had a mortgage on this house, my mortgage would be $100 a month higher in 2024 compared to 2022 when I first bought the house. Now think of all the poor people that are living in regions of the country that are way more expensive, such as Florida, such as places out west, such as Chicago, such as the Northeast. Think of the people that also live in condos to where they have to pay an association. Like in Florida, they're going through a lot of madness with the association, and the state's passing all kind of new laws apparently to where these condos to where many of these condominium communities have to have so much money in reserve. Their reserve cannot be in a deficit. It's got to be, it's got to be in the black. It can't be in the red. So you got a lot of people that are having to pay substantially higher association fees now, in conjunction to their homeowners insurance going up, property taxes going up. You got people out here that, due to the increase of association fees in some cases, due to the increase of property taxes and homeowners insurance, they're not as lucky as I am to where everything out the door, their overall housing expenses have only increased by an average of $100 a month. You got people out here that their housing expenses have increased by $500 a month. In some cases, their expenses have increased by even over $1,000 a month. And a lot of these people may have only owned their homes for the last couple of years. So they don't have any amount of money in equity to where they can sell it and even break even. You got a lot of people that they can't sell it because if they do, they'll be upside down. So their only choice is to let it go in the foreclosure and then then file the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And again, this is not financial advice. This is just, this is just a discussion. So you got a lot of people that are having to let their homes go because they can't afford it. They can't sell it because they're upside down because they haven't kept it enough to gain any kind of equity. Because for those of you that know about mortgages, when you purchase a home, typically the first 3 to 5 years, all the money that you make, all the money that you pay, all the money that you pay on your payments, almost all that money goes into almost all that money is all interest. None of it goes towards the actual principal. So you got a lot of people in those type of a situation. So they let their home go because they can't afford it. They get foreclosed on. Their credit's all jacked up. Now they're having to file bankruptcy, which is going to furthermore jack up their credit. So now you got a lot of people going broke and not having anywhere they can go live. And in some cases, apartments aren't going to rent to them because now they have all this negative stuff on their credit. Not to mention that they don't even have enough money saved up to where they can go and they can pay a security deposit along with, in many cases, first and last month rent. In a lot of apartment complexes or even landlords in general, they want you to earn at least triple the income. I mean, your income has to be triple of whatever it is that they're charging for rent. And you got a lot of people out here that are struggling and they're not making that type of money. Now, are they making enough money to where they can pay the rent? Most people probably are. But are they making triple the money? Many people in this day and age are not. So for those who aren't making a high level income to where they can clear triple the money, to triple the asking rent prices, a lot of those people are also ending up in a situation to where homelessness is knocking on their door. So let's continue. Now let's talk about, so speaking of homeowners insurance, homeowners insurance rose by 21% between May of 2022 and 2023. In May of 2023. Now let's talk about property taxes, which I've discussed property taxes already. I told you my situation. So from a data perspective, let's talk about property taxes. Now, property taxes rose by 6.9% in 2023. They rose again. No, they rose by 3.6%. No, property taxes rose by 3.6% in 2022. And in 2021, they rose by 6.5%. So basically, from 2020 to, let's say 2024, property taxes on average throughout the nation on average have rose by a total of 17%. Think about that for a minute. So if you're living somewhere and your property taxes are, let's say $1,000 a year, if your taxes were $1,000 a year in 2020, your taxes are going to be now $1,000. Well, it's going to be around $1,000. Then it's going to. No, but I'm not even going to try to give you guys a number. I mean, I'm pretty good at math, but right now my mind is foggy, so we'll just keep it at the property taxes from 2020 to 2024 have increased by 17%. Oh, and that piece of information that I just read off is according to Real Appeal. That is REL Appeal. That's where I got that piece of information from. Now let's talk a little bit more about rents. Now, rent prices lowered by 0.2% in early 2024. God knows some of you are going to probably be in the comments talking about rent prices ain't been up. They actually lowered. Quick talking doom and gloom rhetoric. So rent prices did lower by 0.2% in early 2024. However, rent prices are up 26% since 2020. And a lot like your home prices, rent prices are raising up. Rent prices are increasing the most in the Northeast and the Midwest region of the United States. Now, in the Northeast and the Midwest region of the... No, I'm sorry. Now, in the southern region and the western region of the United States, rent prices are up 21 to 28% from 2020. Now in the southern region of the United States, at least, rent prices did decline a little bit in 2023. I was unable to find exactly about how much rent prices declined down here in the South, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't by much. So let's keep going. Now, homeowners spending over 30% of household income on housing to include utilities grew from 3 million to 19.7 million people from 2019 to 2022. So back in 2019, you had 3 million people that were spending over 30% of their income on housing. As of now, that number then rose to 19.7 million people spending over 30% of their income on housing. And for those of you that study finance, that study finances, ideally, you should not spend much more. Well, no, you shouldn't spend no more than 30% of your income on housing. Now, 23.2%. Let's see. Let me see here. Okay, now 23.2% of those homeowners who are spending over 30% of their income on housing are over the age of 65. Now, over 50% of these people are earning less than $30,000 a year. Now, money left to pay bills, the money left to pay other bills after housing expenses fell by 18% between 2019 to 2022. On average, only $310 per month. I mean, most people on average only have $310 a month to pay all their other expenses after they pay all their bills that are related to housing expenses. So basically, what I just said was the amount of the amount of money that people used to have left over after paying all their housing bills, the amount of money that people used to have left over decreased by 18%. So just to put it all in perspective, if a person had, let's say, $100 left over to do whatever they had to do in terms of all their other expenses after paying all their housing bills, for every $100 that they may have had left over, now that $100 has decreased to $82. Just to put those numbers in perspective a little bit for you guys. And this information I'm reading, this was recorded in 2022. Now, the percentage of people who are house cost burden, and this information I'm getting ready to read is gonna, this information is by race. Now, people who are house burden, you got 57% of black households who are house burden, 54% of Hispanics, 50% of multi-race. You got 44% of households who are Asian. You got 44% who are Native American. And you got 45% who are whites. So although the percentage of people who are house burden who are non-black, the percentages for those ethnicities are lower compared to black, I mean, still, when you look at the numbers, across the board, no one is having a picnic right now. Everyone, a lot of people, regardless of ethnicity, are clearly struggling during this period of mass inflation. And the reason why I decided to read off that piece of data, to where I read off the different ethnicities of people and how many of them were struggling in terms of the household, in terms of, I can't even talk right. But the reason why I read off the piece of data I read off just a second ago is because some of you might be like, okay, well, as far as people going broke and ending up homeless, I don't want nobody to assume that is an issue that only certain ethnicities of people are struggling through. It's not. It's an issue that, unfortunately, all of us across the board, no matter what ethnicity, are struggling through. And I'm going to be honest with you, people. I honestly think that the numbers are actually a little higher than the numbers that I just read off, to be quite frank. Obviously, I can't prove it, but just off of some of the stuff I've seen through my travels, I think those numbers are actually a little worse than what they're reporting on the information that I just read throughout this video. So hopefully this video has helped some of you guys understand the seriousness of inflation and how easy people are becoming homeless, regardless of race, regardless of income, regardless of how hard you might be out here in these streets hustling. So for those of you that still want to criticize my channel for being a negative channel, encouraging laziness, for those of you that still want to criticize these type of discussions as doom and gloom, hey man, be my guest. Go right ahead. I just wanted to make this video today to where I read off pieces of data. I mean, this none of what I read today is based off of how anybody feels. It's based off of this strictly data from very credible sources. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they are credible. So hopefully you guys got something out of hopefully you guys got something out of today's video. And if you like what I do, you can give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And on that note, have a blessed one. And obviously, if you have the means to avoid becoming homeless in the first place, that's going to be your best bet. And I wish everybody the best of luck in doing exactly that. Stay blessed.